Erev Shabbos. Today is Thursday, and it's almost Shabbos, but today is also Yom HaAtzmaut, and everybody's wearing their blue and white to celebrate Israel. So I want to tell you one of my favorite stories and one of my favorite memories from being in Eretz Yisrael. Because you guys know that I was in Eretz Yisrael, I was in Israel for 2 years in yeshiva, and one of the things that my yeshiva, the yeshiva that I went to, Shalvim, does every Yom HaAtzmaut is everybody who's there walks from Shalvim all the way to the Kotel. The walk takes about, if I remember correctly, 16 hours, maybe 18 hours. We left at around 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning. We stopped down in Shacharis and at breakfast. We stopped for lunch, and we got there just in time for Mincha, before Shkia, before sunset. That's how long it took. It's about a half hour, 40-minute drive, so you can imagine how long. And then there was a bus there to take us home, thank God. That would have been a bad surprise if we had to walk home. Anyway, it was very hard. It was very difficult, and it was very beautiful and fun and amazing. And I remember so many fun parts and so many amazing things that we saw and so many great memories that I have. And one of the memories I have from that trip is, it was around, I don't remember exactly, sometime after lunch, maybe 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. Our legs were hurting. It was hot. We were sweating. We were carrying backpacks with some snacks and drinks. And some people were very hungry and very worn out. And one of our Rebbeim, Rav Reich, my Rebbe that year, was walking with us and trekking through. And we were all trying to give each other chizuk and strength that we should keep going. Avi, come here. And then we saw in the distance up ahead a little stand with a man who was selling fruit. And we were so thirsty and so hungry and so worn out that we thought, oh, good, juicy, fat, fresh fruit would be exactly perfect. And when we got closer, we saw that he was selling delicious, big, juicy watermelons. And we were all so excited, and Rav Reich said, watermelon! I'm going to buy watermelon and we can all eat some to give us strength to keep going. So he gave the guy a few shekel and whatever it cost, and the guy gave him a watermelon, and he started cutting it up into pieces. And then right before we were about to eat it, Rav Reich said, hold on. Since we're in Eretz Yisrael, we need to make sure that what do we do before we eat it?
Say a bracha.
We say a bracha, of course. And what else? Also, make sure to separate Truma and Maser. Because those are some of the special mitzvahs that apply only in Eretz Yisrael. When you're in Northbrook, or anywhere in America, or anywhere outside of Israel, when you buy fruits and vegetables, you don't need to worry about Truma and Maser. But when you're in Eretz Yisrael, you need to make sure you separate the Truma and Meiser. In the times of the Beis HaMikdash, you would separate the Truma and give it to the Kohen. You would separate the Meiser and give it to the Levi. There were other things you needed to do as well. Nowadays, we don't give it away. We just put it in compost and let it sit. But you still have to make sure to separate it, otherwise the food isn't kosher. So right before we were about to eat it, Rav Reich, since he was our Rebbe and he lived in Israel, he knew exactly what to do. And he started cutting off a piece and saying, Harezu Truma, this is Truma. And then he started cut off another piece and said, Harezu Meiser, this is Meiser. And then we ate the delicious watermelon together.
Do you need to do that?
And to me, yeah, unless you buy it from a store where you know that the farmer, a lot of times, usually the farmers do it in advance. So if you buy it from a store where it has a hefsher, it says like Hufresh, Trumos, and Maitros, that Truma and Maser was already separated. It's kind of like a hefsher, like an OU. But in Israel, it says you're buying from a farmer who already did Trumos and Maitros himself. But if you just buy from a stand, from a random guy on the side, you don't know for sure if he separated Trumos and Maitros or not. You don't know for sure if he keeps all those mitzvahs, so just to make sure, you should separate your own unless you know for sure that he did.
What if it's grown in Israel, but you're not eating it in Israel?
Still, if it grew in Israel, you need to make sure that you separate Trumas and Maestros, unless you know for sure that it already has. So, I thought that was such a sweet memory because it combined so many things. It combined the beauty of Eretz Yisrael and all the amazing views and experiences we had as we walked so far. It reminded me of the excitement we had as we walked all day long to get to Yerushalayim so that we could daven Mincha at the Kotel. It reminded me of the special mitzvos that we have only in Eretz Yisrael, like Trumos and Maestros, and so many other mitzvos that you can only do in Eretz Yisrael. And it reminded me of my time in yeshiva with my Rebbe and my friends, and just enjoying learning Torah and seeing the land and feeling the specialness and the beauty and the holiness of Eretz Yisrael. So hopefully one day, all together, all of us, in this room and watching the video, we'll be able to learn Torah together in Eretz Yisrael and to taste from the Peiros Haaretz, to enjoy the fruits of the land, even if we have to take Trumos and Maestros first. Shabbos, everyone!
Good Shabbos!